The Executive Suite is a multifaceted communication support program designed to help you as a top executive exercise leadership more effectively by means of live presentations. And as such, the way that we work this program is different from any of the training or workshops that we do for other kinds of corporate personnel. The simple matter of logistics is different for top executives. The agendas of top corporate executives are very often filled to overflowing, often with urgent matters on a regular basis. And even though study after study shows that communication is a top priority for leadership, nonetheless, work on presentation skills tends to be viewed as less urgent than work on most of the other matters in the agendas of top executives. So we try to make the accessibility of this program logistically as easy as possible. The program can be experienced as a one-day individual coaching session. It can be experienced as a one-day workshop for 2 or 3 executives who are able to coordinate their schedule. On rare occasions, we've even managed to find groups of 3 or 4 executives who are able to find the time to communicate their schedules around an annual meeting or a semi-annual meeting so that 3 or 4 of them could spend 2 days luxuriating in a more in-depth and extensive process of working on the use of presentations. In addition, we also designed a way to deliver this kind of support in half-day sessions so that a busy executive who's not able to coordinate his schedule with other executives can simply schedule in 2 half-day individual coaching sessions on succeeding days. And on both days, he's able to reserve all the rest of his day to handle the more urgent matters, but still have the time to focus on the presentation skills for half of each day. And of course, there are times when this also leads to having to take long pauses because the executive has to coordinate a video conference with people on 2 different continents because he's in the middle of something, and we have the flexibility to work the program around any of those kinds of interruptions or other priorities in the life of the busy executive. When it comes to the content of the program, it can be focused on specialized needs, such as how to handle media interviews, since top executives have more contact with the media, such as how to handle video conferences and virtual transmissions using streaming video, which are more and more a part of executive life in global enterprises. But what we recommend be included in any form of the Executive Suite program are 3 key areas where we find that presentation skills have a direct bearing on the effectiveness of exercising leadership. The first of these areas is what you stand for. If you're a top executive, then more and more often you deliver important presentations to large groups of people, most of whom never have very much individual contact with you at all. And so the kind of messages that you're delivering to people are not the kind of hands-on managerial messages going into specific detail of what you want people to do. More and more, your role as an executive is to articulate and express values for people throughout the organization working under your leadership. So we focus in on specific, powerful rhetorical skills that you can use to articulate and express values more effectively. And that way, although you can't micromanage all of your people, if you can install the right values in them, when people are making decisions on their own, they'll be more likely to make the decisions you'd want them to make because they're applying the values you'd want them to apply. At the same time, for many people in the organization, if you're a top executive, one of the few times they ever see you in action is when you're doing an important presentation at an annual meeting or at an important convention. And so there's a higher priority than usual for you to make sure that your physical behavior during a presentation is a demonstration and an expression of leadership in action. The second area of focus which we recommend is work on PowerPoint presentations because they're ever present. And there are 2 factors which make the use of PowerPoint presentations especially challenging for top executives. The first is the fact that very often the presentation itself is not something that you have the time or the role of preparing. The presentation, the slides will be prepared by other people working under you, or sometimes people from other divisions of the company. So you're faced with the most effective way in which to use presentations which you yourself have not prepared and structured. And then secondly, the circumstances in which you deliver your most important presentations are very often in a convention or in an auditorium in which there are hundreds of people in the audience. You're distant from them up on the stage and can't really move around very much, and your slides are projected 50 feet up in the air on a screen. This is the most challenging way to try to use PowerPoint because it does everything to fragment the focus of the audience so they're distant from you and from what's going on the screen. We work with you on how you can navigate this kind of a challenging situation to unify the focus of the audience and make sure they're with you and your message step by step as you lead them through to the goal of your presentation. We also make sure that you acquire an expert understanding in this program of how human beings, audiences, from any culture and any culture, perceive, process, and understand the different forms of input that you can use in a presentation. The oral input, written input, visual imagery, PowerPoint, videos, so that you can make more enlightened strategic decisions, drawing on your own expertise, to be more effective when you're using all of these tools during a presentation, and in particular PowerPoint. And also so that when the PowerPoint presentation is being prepared, you can give better instructions and directions to the people doing the preparation so that they prepare the kind of visual imagery and other technical tools which you know you can use most effectively in your presentation. And finally, we focus in on the area of how you actually structure the action of delivering a presentation so that it is most powerful in achieving your leadership goals. Bearing in mind, again, that the goals of a corporate leader are very often not the hands-on, day-to-day managerial goals, but more, let us say, ambiguous or amorphous goals, such as how to inspire your people, how to align your people in line with objectives which you've set forth for the organization as a whole. Along these lines, another aspect of the non-managerial quality of leadership presentations is a question that often comes up when I'm working with top executives. And the first time it came up, it was a top sales executive for a global enterprise. And he said to me, "John, you know, I've been in sales all my life. I know how to get people to focus on what's important and pay attention to it and understand it. But what can I do to be sure that 6 months from now, my people will remember what I think it's most important for them to remember from this presentation?" We work with you on how you can integrate presentation skills not into the entirety of a presentation, but into the key moments of your important presentations so that your key points are noticed, understood, and remembered by the audience the next day, the next week, the next month, 6 months down the line, and on from there. Because you can't be there like a manager to be repeating and drumming in the point from week to week or month to month. So the moments when you do deliver a presentation, you want to have the power of presentation skills focused on those key points that way. I'd be happy to talk with you further about how we could adjust this program to meet the specific needs of your own career or of the top executives in your organization and help you use the power of live presentations to exercise leadership more effectively in the pursuit of your leadership goals.